Today we're making the project recipe for Great Escape. This project recipe is from 2019. Our sketch shows that it is made up of some wide strips on the left and right, and the left and right are sort of diagonal mirror images of each other. Now, often with Creative Memories project recipes, they use different papers for the backgrounds. On one side, they may have a solid cardstock, while on the other side, a designer paper. That often means that a layout can be two separate layouts or treated as one two-page layout. As I have assessed my needs for layouts right now, I need a lot of single pages. But making something like this project recipe, even with the thought in mind of it being two separate layouts going into two separate albums, is like doubling up and getting 2 for 1. So that is what I'm going to have in mind today as I make this Great Escape project recipe. I've selected my background papers to be two different sheets of designer paper. On one side, I'm using this lovely paper from the Full of Wonder designer paper pack. And for my second background paper, I've chosen this from the National Scrapbook Day 2025, the accessory paper pack. And to be quite honest, I love this paper and I've been hoarding it, but I told myself I've got to stop hoarding and start using. The Great Escape project recipe calls for 3 designer papers. Designer paper number 1, where I cut some strips, and designer paper 2, where we'll also cut some strips. They have some accent pieces and some photo mats. I do not plan to cut the photo mats or the accent pieces, but we will see. They may come in handy to accent the paper with. Designer paper number 3 is for making photo mats. And because I know the sizes of my photos are not going to be the same, I'm not cutting designer paper 3. I don't even have a designer paper 3. So what I've chosen is a designer paper number 1, where I'm going to use both sides, and a designer paper number 2, I'm only going to use one of the 2 sides, I think. And for the accent pieces that make the wide strips that will go on both the left and right, I've chosen 2 papers from the Better Together 2 Tone on Tone paper pack. First, this dark purple color with the lines in a haphazard type manner. And then this heart paper with the loopy heart design. And I'm also going to use the back side, which is just these nice medium tone purple stripes. And when I put the 3 together, I like the look because I'm getting light, a lavender color, a medium tone of purple, and a deeper tone of purple. So from the Better Together 2, this paper, front and back, and then this paper gives me light, medium, and deeper tones of purple, and I think that they are going to go great on this layout. Looking at the sketch for this design, we see 6 wide strips that go 3 to a side. We have piece A and B, our longest pieces, piece C and D, our medium length pieces, and piece E and F, our shortest pieces. All 6 pieces have a knockout punch shaped in them. Also, all of them have a backing, so there's a nice color behind where the punch out has occurred. So all of the pieces we're going to use are 3 inches wide. Now, the way I'm going to cut my paper, I'm going to cut designer paper number 1, which is the purple with the striped background. I'm going to cut 4 pieces, all 3 inches wide. And for the second piece, I'm just going to cut 2 pieces that are 3 inches wide. I am not going to cut the length. I'm going to just cut everything fully 12 inches to begin with, because what I'm going to do after that is cut the length after I've made my punches. So this is my designer paper number 1, and it has these heart designs in a horizontal manner on the front, and then the stripes that could go horizontal or vertical on the back. I want my stripes going horizontal as well as my hearts. So I'm going to cut 4 3-inch by 12-inch pieces. Next, I'm going to cut 2 of this deep purple. One of the strips will be for the left side, and the second strip will be for the right side. Now, the back of this paper is also lovely. It's a deep purple as well, so I can change my mind as I'm working through the process, but so far, this is the side I want to use. And I'm cutting 2 strips that are 3 inches wide. So here are my 2 background pages. And so these 2 look so different from each other, and that's on purpose because these will go in 2 different albums. And I think these background papers kind of bring forward the mood and feel that the photos that I'm thinking of putting on these layouts will have on these albums. So right now I have 3 strips, and I think this looks more, there we go. And here, and then now, as I look at the layout design, I see that they have really mirror imaged how they put the pattern papers. So I'm going to do the same. So the same one is in the middle, but I'm swapping sides. Now, this is one way I can configure the 3 strips with the darker paper on the inside and the lighter paper on the outside. But my personal preference is to put the lighter paper in the center and the darker paper towards the outside. And that is more pleasing to my eye personally. The next thing about these strips is that there is a small gap between the 3-inch by 12-inch strips. The instructions do not say how wide this gap is, but I will admit personally, I don't like the gap, especially on this layout, as the paper is showing through. And so I have the option to put all of the strips right up against each other. And for my personal taste, I prefer the strips touching rather than a gap between them. Now, if there were to be a gap necessary to have between the papers, I would probably put a solid color of some color in between them. I don't like the background poking through these strips. I'd rather see a solid. And the same would go here. I would rather see a solid than to see the background paper coming through. Now the next step is to punch the edges of the 6 strips. The ones on the right side are punched at the top, and the ones on the left side are punched at the bottom. But before I do that, I'm asking myself, do I want to use the same punch on all of these? Or do I want to use one punch on the right side and a different punch on the left side? Now, before I punch anything, there's one more thing I need to look at. And that is because the length of the strips are different. The outer side strip is the full 12 inches. But the middle strip is a little shorter than the outer one, and the center strip is shorter than the middle strip. And these changes are reverse, top to bottom, on the left side versus the right side. So my left side is going to look like this, and the right side is going to have a staircase kind of going up. And the punch out is going to be on the edge that has the space between the edge of the paper and the strip of paper. And the other edge of the paper, the bottom on the right-hand side and the top on the left-hand side, is going to be flush with the edge of the background paper. So this is displaying for me the general look of what this layout looks like. So now I'm going to decide, do I want to use the same punch out border punch for the edges on my right side that I use for my edges on my left side? Because these are going in 2 different albums and therefore they also have 2 different themes, I could use 2 different punches if I chose. I have chosen the Cyclic Circle Border Maker cartridge because I really believe it will work the best with my paper. The strips of paper are 3 inches wide, and this always punches a 2-inch wide shape. From there to there is 2 inches. So 3 inches is 1.5 of these. And so because this is 2 inches wide, that extra inch is going to hit right here in the center. So I should get 3 circles out of my punch. And I think that I'll have a very attractive look to it. So now I'm going to punch from this end, these 3 strips, and on this end, these 3 strips. Now I'm getting ready to punch my 3-inch wide strips. And I'm going to put my paper in the positioning tray, just like I would any other piece of paper. And note, all of my papers are still their full 12 inches in length. I'll cut them down after I punch. Now, the reason I waited to cut them down was in case I chose a punch that would shorten the length of the paper, then I would still want to get the correct length with a decorative edge. But at this point, this is a strictly knockout cartridge, so this edge will remain attached to the paper. Because the paper is 3 inches, I only have to punch the edge 2 times to cover the width of the paper. I like how this punch turned out. I have 3 circles on the paper, and the second circle is in the center, very perfectly centered, and so I really like that look. Now, I'm showing this with the white behind it. The cutting instructions show that you use the other side of this paper beneath the punched out shape. But as you can see, while there is contrast, personally, I don't think this is the right paper I want behind my punch outs. So I will choose something different. Now, while I'm about to punch the remaining 5 strips of paper, I want to note that on my right hand side, I'm punching the top of the paper. On the left hand strips, I will punch the bottom. Now, my paper is not very directional and I can get away with punching either end, but do pay attention that on one side you're punching the top end and on the other side you're punching your bottom end. So now we have our still full length strips arranged with their punched ends. And I see some imperfections here and there. It really doesn't matter, especially when these 2 pages will go into 2 different albums. So there's no comparing left and right sides because each layout is going to stand on its own. But one thing that's really standing out right now is the fact that there is no backing behind the Cyclic Circle punch outs, and it definitely needs something. So according to the instructions, I need 6 1-inch by 3-inch strips of something to put behind those punch outs. So I'm going to go and find that and put them on next. So the next step is to select a paper to go behind my Cyclic Circle punch outs. And off screen, I auditioned about 4 different papers. Now, I love to use shimmer papers and foil type papers, papers with a little bling on them behind my knockouts. And so I also realized these are going in 2 different albums, so there is nothing making me use the same thing on the right and the left. So I chose not to. The biggest reason was because the paper I chose for my right hand side that I really liked did not look well with the background paper on the left side. So I chose for the right side this color, which is called Parakeet Shimmer Cardstock. And I think it really looks nice behind the purple papers, as well as blends in beautifully with the background. But it did not blend beautifully over here on the left. So for the left side, I chose the all standby favorite gold shimmer paper, and it looks lovely behind the purple papers and goes lovely with this background paper. And I think it's going to go great with the photos as well. So I'm going to cut strips that are 3 inches by 1 inch to back the knockouts of the Cyclic Circle punch, and I'll be right back. So now I have my strips down. I have the knockouts from my punch, the Cyclic Cycle, backed in some shimmer paper, the parakeet here and the gold here. And so I'm showing them positioned relative to how they're likely to go. But next, I'm going to cut them in the lengths that is called out for in the sketch. So now it's time to cut the length of my strips down. Now piece C and D, which are the 2 strips in the center, are to be cut to 11 1/4 inches long, and then pieces E and F are to be cut to be 10 1/2 inches long. So it's basically 3/4 of an inch between each strip. So I played around with positioning my strips of paper basically according to the measurements And I think I'm going to like it just fine. I thought about making it wider in separation, but in doing so, I think I may be taking away something from all of this. So I'm going to go and trim my paper down and adhere the strips to the paper. And our next steps will be getting our photos on. And this is what the layout looks like with the project recipe configuration. On each side, there's a horizontal 6x4 photo and a vertical 4x6 photo and a 4x4 photo. And this lets me see I'm missing something. Both layouts have a border strip across the top and the bottom. So let me find a border strip that I want to use on each side. And this is our Unclad project recipe. I have to say, this is a little touch outside of my normal design of layouts, but it's doing great. I think it's going to look great when I put the photos on and add the border that the layout calls for. I don't want to put on the border before I have my photos arranged, just to make sure I have enough room for the border. So here's the layout when I put down my photos for each one. And it probably makes more sense now why the purple and why the green and the greenery. And in looking at this, I really like the grid style over here on the left. And I like the layout here on the right. However, I feel that both sides need mats. And I want to do on the left one big block of a mat. And on the right, I want a block for these 3 horizontal photos. And then a separate mat for this photo. Now, this photo has lots of room. I could trim it down and make it smaller. And actually, if I did that, then I could perhaps slide one of these photos over and have something more like this as a layout. And if I do that, then it will make more sense to have some type of a border here. And I think I can squeeze a skinny border of some type up here. I'll look to see what I have in my collection to do that. So this is my photo arrangement. And on my right side here, I have all my photos adhered. And I think I'm going to put an embellishment cluster right here. And I found some embellishments from a variety of Creative Memories Christmas collections, including Christmas Cheer, Christmas Charm, Magic of Christmas. So I went through all of my embellishments and stickers, and I picked out a few. I think I'll put something here and something here, sort of a diagonal. However, over here on the left, I don't see there being very much space. The photos have taken up the majority of the room on this layout. And I've been playing around with different places I could put this block where I put all of the photos on one mat. And I think what the place I want it to be is actually putting the top of this block flush with the top of the layout, and that will let all of this decoration from the punched border down here show through, and I believe it will give the page enough decoration that I don't need to add more embellishments. This will be enough for me Plus, you have the beautiful paper that is adding some embellishment to my eye anyway. So the sad thing is that a whole lot of that pretty paper is being covered up on this layout, but that's okay for me. I'm not heartbroken over that. And so I'll be back with the final layout fully embellished, and the close-ups will come right after that. And so I've added the words "Oh Christmas Tree, Oh Christmas Tree." This was an embellishment from one of the Creative Memories packs. And then this really cute Christmas tree with a little jingle bell and this sticker that says Holly Jolly Christmas. And this little set of 3 items I feel is enough. I found that this part of this long strip was the perfect place to be a base for a cluster set. So that's what I did here. And while I could add a lot more, I decided not to because I don't want so much attention going on down here that you forget to look at the pictures. Meanwhile, this side is ready to go. I hope that you've enjoyed watching me make the Great Escape project recipe and really taking it off the rails and doing something completely different as we made this 2-page layout for 2 different albums. It's a twofer. And I hope that you will like the video, subscribe to the channel. YouTube's going to recommend another video very soon, and have a fine scrappy day.